There was a king whose dominion included all the kingdoms of the world. There was neither any country nor any empire. Rather, the entire world was under his influence. His power and authority were so vast that whatever desire arose in his heart would immediately turn into reality. The name of this king was Shadad, and his arrogance compelled him to do things that perhaps no one else could even imagine. One day, he saw a strange dream. He decided that he would build paradise on earth, a paradise that would be far more beautiful and magnificent than the paradise of Allah. He began planning his paradise and started building heaven on earth, a paradise that from every direction challenged the supreme command of God. But as soon as this paradise was completed, the world came to know of its fate, a paradise that became a lesson in history. Shadad, who was known in history as a symbol of pride and arrogance, is actually part of a special tale. This is the story of a child whose name was written in Allah's decree that he would become the most powerful king in the world. One day, a boat was traveling through the river with many people aboard. The boat was caught in a storm and all the passengers drowned. But according to the will of Allah, one child survived this stormy hadisa. This child had become part of Allah's divine wisdom, and Allah had written something great in his destiny. Allah commanded Jibril Amin, peace be upon him, to raise this child, to shelter him under his care and teach him. Jibril Amin, peace be upon him, raised this child with love and comfort. He taught him and trained him. When the child reached adulthood, he became Shadad and turned into a name in history whose arrogance and pride became famous throughout the world. Shadad's empire was a power without any rival. His kingship was not only spread across different parts of the earth, but throughout his rule there was an atmosphere of fear and reverence everywhere. His empire included not only the eastern and western regions of the world, but his influence had spread across every continent. From the icy mountains of the north to the endless deserts of the south, every land was bound by his command. Prosperity and luxury reigned in Shadad's empire. Every city had palaces and magnificent gardens, filled with colorful flowers and springs flowing like rivers. His treasures were so vast that they could not be counted. Piles of gold, silver, jewels, and precious stones were stored within them, and each treasury was so immense that even imagining it was impossible. His treasuries contained every kind of wealth, precious goods, and valuables that only a few selected individuals were allowed to see. Shadad's army was also a major source of his strength. Millions of soldiers who had triumphed in countless battles protected his empire. The walls of his kingdom were so strong that it was impossible for any enemy to reach its gates. His administrative system of his empire was so firm that the reflection of his authority was visible in everything. An example of the grandeur of Shadad's empire was his royal court, where people from different parts of the world would come to acknowledge his greatness. In his court, there was always a gathering of courtiers and ministers adorned in precious clothes and jewelry, who carried out his will at every moment. His kingship was such a blend of art, knowledge, and wealth that his name would forever be written in golden letters in history. There was no limit to Shadad's power and arrogance. In his kingdom, his command was everything, and within his heart surged a wave of pride that awakened rebellious feelings even against God.
He believed that with his immense power and wealth, he feared no one, not even the punishment of Allah. The sole purpose of his life was to build his own paradise and proclaim his greatness throughout the world. There was no fear of Allah in his heart, and his arrogance continued to grow with each passing day. But Allah's wisdom was unparalleled. When Shadad's oppression and rebellion crossed all limits and his arrogance reached the heavens, Allah commanded the great prophet of that time, Hud, peace be upon him, to go to Shadad.
Allah said, "Go and recite my verses to that tyrant. Inform him of the reality of my punishment, so that he may turn back from his rebellion." Hud, peace be upon him, who conveyed Allah's messages with heart and soul, arrived at Shadad's court in obedience to Allah's command. When he reached the court, the scene was something entirely different. The court was filled with an atmosphere of luxury and indulgence. Magnificent palaces, precious garments, and air saturated with fragrance. But in Hud's eyes, peace be upon him, was a special light that reflected the truth and power of Allah's message. Hud, peace be upon him, cast his gaze upon everyone present in the court, and then raised his voice. "O Shadad, listen, you who ignore the greatness of Allah, you who have crossed every limit in your rebellion, remember that no one can escape the punishment of Allah." There was such resonance in his voice that it dimmed even the splendor of the court and the worldly pleasures within it. Then Hud, peace be upon him, recited the verses of Allah, verses that revealed the reality of Allah's punishment and his boundless power. Every word carried depth. Every sentence contained a truth that should have penetrated Shadad's heart. He mentioned Allah's punishment, how Allah destroyed previous nations because of their disobedience, and then warned him that if he did not abandon his rebellion, he too would be seized by Allah's punishment. Shadad, lost in dreams of his own greatness, trembled for a moment at Hud's words. For a few moments, fear and remorse appeared in his eyes. But then he sank back into his arrogance. He took Hud's words merely as criticism, and, taking support from those present in his court, he ignored Hud. Shadad listened to Hud's words carefully for a moment, then said in a voice filled with pride, "What does your Allah want from me? Does he consider my kingdom and kingship insignificant?" Hud replied calmly, "Allah only wants that you do not disobey him, abandon oppression, and worship Allah. Do not consider yourself a god, for only he is the true God." Hearing this, Shadad laughed and said, "All right, if I do all this, then what will Allah give me?" There was a gleam on his face, as if he were ready to accept a challenge, yet within him was a curiosity that failed to hide his desire for greatness. Hud said in a deep and tranquil manner, "If you live your life according to Allah's pleasure, Allah will grant you a blessing that has no equal. He will admit you into paradise, a paradise where there will be no pain and no sorrow, where you will attain eternal desires." For a few moments, silence fell upon Shadad's face. In his eyes appeared a glimpse of wonder and curiosity, as though the greatest desire of his life had been answered in that moment. He listened very attentively to Hud's words and quickly asked, "What is this paradise?" Hud smiled and said, "Paradise is the place where you will receive everything in completeness that you have never dreamed of. There will be no pain, no illness, and no fear of death.
For you there will be trees under which there will always be shade, and their fruits will never come to an end. There will be flowing springs of pure water, in which lies the tranquility of life. For you rivers of gold and silver will flow, and in everything you will find complete peace and happiness." Hud continued speaking. "The palaces there will be so beautiful that even imagining them will be dearer to you than all the luxuries of this world. There you will receive countless blessings that will never end. There you will find eternal contentment and peace, and your heart will never grow weary."
In his mind, the image of paradise began to take shape, an image far more beautiful and prosperous than his pride and arrogance. His curiosity grew even stronger, and he became lost in Hud's, peace be upon him's, words. In Shadad's eyes appeared a glimpse of a new world, and a question began to revolve in his heart. Could paradise really be like this? Shadad listened carefully to Hud's, peace be upon him's, words, and as soon as he heard the descriptions of paradise, a strange wave arose in his heart. A sparkle appeared in his eyes, and he said arrogantly, "This is not a difficult task at all. I can build such a paradise for myself on earth. Your concept of paradise is very beautiful, but I am the God of the earth. I have wealth, I have power, and I can do whatever I wish. Building such a paradise is nothing difficult for me. It only awaits my command." Hud, peace be upon him, replied with patience, "Shadad, you must understand that the paradise you are dreaming of is not possible without Allah's will. These are merely worldly pleasures that will soon fade away. The paradise you speak of creating will be devoid of eternal peace, happiness, and tranquility, because that paradise can only be created by the one who is its creator, and that is Allah." But Shadad's arrogance, which had overtaken his heart and mind, caused him to reject Hud's words even after hearing them. In his eyes, his power and self-proclaimed divinity on earth were a source of pride that had made him indifferent to Allah's command. In his heart was the belief that there was no deficiency in his kingdom or his power, and that he could do whatever he wished. He was immersed in the vision of his own paradise, and the arrogance within him did not allow him to submit before Allah's power. Shadad once again said boldly, "Say whatever you wish to me, but I can create everything that I desire, and my paradise will be in my own hands, not anyone else's." There was a firmness in his words that reflected the intoxication of his self-made godhood. Hud's words entered his ears and then passed straight out. His heart was an ocean of arrogance, and while ignoring Allah's punishment, he remained absorbed in his kingdom. When Hud saw that Shadad was unaffected by anything, and that no depth of Allah's verses or admonitions was reaching his heart, he returned from Shadad's court in disappointment. There was sorrow in his eyes, for he knew that he had delivered Allah's message. But those who have become blind in their rebellion are very difficult to guide. In Shadad's heart, a new determination awakened. His arrogance and the intoxication of self-divinity had intensified, and he had firmly resolved to build his own paradise. He summoned the ministers sitting in his court and consulted them, declaring that he would now begin constructing paradise, a paradise he had decided to create personally while disregarding Allah's command. Shadad ordered his ministers to immediately send his soldiers to every corner of the world and to gather all the gold and precious metals they could find.
Any gold in the world, even if it is as small as a particle, bring it all into my kingdom." Shadad commanded, "Collect the treasures of the entire world and bring them here according to my order. Gold, silver, jewels, and precious stones from every land will be used to build my paradise." His soldiers were sent to every city, every village, and every country. From all regions of the world, treasures of gold and precious metals began to be brought in. Shadad intended to build a paradise in his kingdom, the likes of which no one on earth had ever seen, and he would prove that he could create a paradise greater even than Allah's.
By Shaddad's command, gold, jewels, and precious materials began to be gathered from every corner of the world. So much wealth entered his treasuries that it was beyond anyone's imagination. He became absorbed in adorning his palace with gold and jewels, and was ready to go to any extreme to complete his paradise. Accordingly, he summoned 100 trusted officers from among his officials. He appointed each one over 1,000 men, and explained to all of them his vision and preferences regarding the construction. After this, he ordered that experts of this work from the entire world be sent to Iram. Iram was the region in which Shadad resided. He further commanded all rulers to have bricks made from gold and silver extracted from the mines and send them. He issued orders to construct a city like Iram, 10 koss wide and 10 koss long. Its foundations were dug so deep that they reached close to subterranean water. Then those foundations were filled with stone of Solomon. When the foundations were filled and leveled with the ground, walls of gold and silver bricks were erected upon them. The height of these walls was fixed at 100 cubits according to the measurement of that era. When the sun rose, its glare was so intense that the eyes could not rest upon the walls. Thus the city's surrounding walls were constructed. After this, 1,000 palaces were built inside the city walls. Each palace had 1,000 pillars, and every pillar was inlaid with jewels. Then a canal was constructed in the center of the city, and from it smaller channels were drawn into every palace. Pools and fountains were built within each palace. The walls and floors of these canals were adorned with rubies, emeralds, coral, and sapphires. Along the banks of the canals, artificial trees were erected, whose trunks were made of gold, their branches of gold, and their leaves of emerald. Their fruits were crafted of pearls, rubies, and other precious stones and hung upon them. The shops and walls of the city were polished with musk, saffron, amber, and rose essence. Beautiful birds made of rubies and jewels were fashioned upon silver bricks, upon which guards would come in their turns and sit to keep watch. When the construction was completed, he ordered that silk carpets be spread throughout the entire city. Then, in some canals, sweet water was made to flow, in some wine, in some milk, and in others honey and syrup. The markets and shops were adorned with curtains of brocade and fine silk. Every craftsman was ordered to remain engaged in his respective work, and it was commanded that for all the residents of this city, all kinds of fruit and produce be supplied at all times. When, over a period of 12 years, the city was completed with all its adornment, he ordered all nobles, officials, and the wealthy to settle there. Then Shadad himself prepared his procession and set out towards the city with extreme arrogance and pride. He took some scholars along with him, and throughout the journey, mocking them, he kept saying to them, "For such a paradise you were telling me to bow before someone else and be humiliated? You have seen my power and my wealth." When he came near, all the inhabitants of the city came out beyond the city gates to welcome him, and they began showering him with gold and jewels. Walking with great pride and elegance, when he reached the city gate, It is narrated that just as he removed 1 foot from the stirrup of his mare and placed it upon the threshold of the gate, he suddenly saw a stranger already standing there. He asked, "Who are you?" He replied, "I am the angel of death." He asked, "Why have you come?" He replied, "To take your soul." Shadad said, "Give me a little time so that I may see the paradise I have built." The reply came, "I have no permission." He said, "Then at least give me enough time to dismount from my horse." The reply came, "That too is not permitted." Thus, while 1 foot of Shadad was still in the stirrup and the other upon the threshold, the angel of death seized his soul. Then Angel Jibreel, peace be upon him, let out a mighty, terrifying cry, as a result of which, at that very moment, the entire city, along with all its magnificent adornments, was swallowed into the earth in such a way that no trace of it remained. The Quran mentions it in this manner: "Those of Iram, possessors of lofty pillars, the like of which no city had ever been created." It is written in reliable commentaries that after the king and his army were destroyed, that city too was concealed from the eyes of the people. Hazrat Abdullah bin Kulaba, who was a companion, happened to pass by that area. Suddenly his camel ran away, and while searching for it, he reached near that city. When his eyes fell upon its minarets and walls, he fainted and fell to the ground. When he regained consciousness, he began to think that the condition of the city appeared exactly as the noble prophet showed him described regarding Shadad's paradise. He wondered whether he was dreaming or whether this had some connection to reality. In that state, he stood up and entered the city. Inside it, there were canals and trees just like those of paradise, but there was not a single human being there. He picked up some of the jewels lying there and returned. From there, he went straight to the capital of the time, Damascus. Hazrat Amir Muawiyah, may Allah be pleased with him, was present there. He narrated to him everything that had happened with him. Hazrat Amir Muawiyah asked him whether he had seen that city while awake or in a dream. Hazrat Abdullah, may Allah be pleased with him, replied that he had seen it fully awake. Then he described all its signs, that it was at such and such a distance from a particular peak of the mountain of Iram, with a certain tree on one side and a well on the other, and said, "These jewels and rubies I have brought along as proof." After hearing this account, Hazrat Amir Muawiyah, may Allah be pleased with him, was greatly astonished. Then scholars were consulted regarding this matter, as to whether such a city had ever truly existed in the world, whose bricks were of gold and silver. The scholars said, yes, the Quran has also mentioned it. In its verses, Iram Dhat al-Imad refers to this very city, but Allah the Exalted has concealed it from the eyes of the people. The scholars further said that it is also narrated that the Prophet showed him stated, "From my ummah, 1 man will enter it. He will be of short stature, reddish in color, and he will have 2 moles on his eyebrow and neck. He will reach that city while searching for his camel and witness its wonders." When Hazrat Amir Muawiyah saw all these signs in Hazrat Abdullah bin Kulaba, he said, "By Allah, this is that very person." In English, this city or its ruins are known as the Atlantis of the deserts. For a long time, this city and its ruins remained famous because of the stories of its treasures. In every era, adventurers searched for it. But this city has never been discovered to this day because Allah the Almighty has hidden it from human sight. Respected viewers, I hope you enjoyed the video. If life allows, I will return to serve you with another video next time. Until then, goodbye. May Allah the Almighty be your protector.